Philippine tennis sensation Alex Eala has finished tickets.
Courtside tickets for Alex Eala's matches at the Stuttgart tournament sold out in minutes, not hours, minutes. Before she had even hit a single ball in the tournament, tickets were gone. Prices on the resale market were through the roof, and tens of thousands of Filipino fans across Germany were already making travel plans. This is the story of how one young tennis player from the Philippines turned a regular European tournament into something the sport has genuinely never seen before. If you have been following Alex Eala since her junior Grand Slam days, since her time at the Rafa Nadal Academy, since her very first WTA wins, then you already know what the rest of the world is just starting to figure out. This fan base was never hype. It was always something much bigger and much more organized than that. Subscribe now and stay with us, because this story is only getting started and you do not want to miss a single chapter of it. So let us go back to how this all came together. 7 days before the Stuttgart tournament began, Eala had just finished her run at Linz, where she reached the round of 16. Then, just 48 hours later, Xinyu Zheng withdrew from Stuttgart due to injury. That withdrawal opened up a direct main draw entry, and Alex Eala got the call. The draw was released on April 11th. Her first-round opponent was announced as Leylah Fernandez, the Filipino-Canadian player ranked 25th in the world. Two players with Filipino heritage, both left-handed, meeting on clay in Germany. The story practically wrote itself before anyone even bought a ticket. But what happened next in the ticket market was not something any tournament director could have written into their planning documents. Within hours of the draw being announced, reports started coming in from Filipino media pages and social platforms. Courtside seats were disappearing. Key sessions were selling out. The secondary resale market was already showing the kind of price spikes you normally only see during a Grand Slam final weekend, not a first-round match at a 500-level event. Fans were not just buying tickets, they were booking hotels, organizing group travel, setting up watch parties, and coordinating with each other across different cities in Germany with what people online were describing as military-level precision. One important thing to understand here is that Germany is home to around 450,000 Filipinos, making it the largest Filipino diaspora community in all of Western Europe. This is not a small group of casual fans watching from their couches. This is a deeply connected, highly motivated community that treats Alex Eala's matches as something worth traveling for, something worth planning around, something worth spending money on. Fan media reports claimed that 60,000 Filipinos across Germany were preparing to make their way to Stuttgart for her matches. Whether that exact number is completely accurate or slightly exaggerated, the broader pattern it points to is absolutely real. When Eala plays, Filipinos show up in person. To understand just how unusual this is, you need to think about what Stuttgart normally looks like as a tennis event. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix is a well-run, well-respected indoor clay tournament held at the Porsche Arena. It draws a traditional European crowd. It operates efficiently. Attendance projections are built around the seatings and the established star power in the draw. A replacement entry ranked 46th in the world would not normally change any of those projections in any meaningful way. Replacement entries rarely cause much of a stir at all, and yet here was Alex Eala, a 20-year-old ranked 46th, generating demand that the tournament simply had not planned for, and now had just 72 hours to figure out how to handle. This was not the first time tournament organizers had found themselves scrambling because of Eala's presence. Earlier in the year, at Linz, ticket sales for her matches reportedly surged by 400%. Some sessions were said to be 90% Filipino fans in the crowd, which is a completely extraordinary statistic for a tournament in Austria. At Indian Wells in California, the 2 million-strong Filipino community there transformed her matches into what felt like a home court atmosphere for her, despite being thousands of miles from Manila. The noise, the flags, the coordinated chanting, the sheer volume of the crowd response created something that players and commentators noticed immediately. These were not normal tournament crowds reacting to good tennis. These were communities celebrating one of their own on a world stage. The significance of the Stuttgart situation is particularly striking is the speed of it all. Normal fan enthusiasm builds gradually over the course of a tournament. A player goes on a run, wins a few rounds, the crowd gets bigger, the interest grows. That is how it usually works. What happened in Stuttgart was the opposite of that. It was what you might call pre-ignition. The tickets were gone before Eala had served a single ball. The hotel blocks were being reserved before she had even arrived in Germany. The mobilization happened the moment her name appeared in the draw, not after she proved herself on court. The Filipino Army, as her fan base calls itself, does not wait to see if their champion wins before deciding to show up. They commit first, full stop. The significance of the opening match against Leylah Fernandez added another layer of energy to all of this. On the surface, it is a fascinating sporting matchup. Two left-handed players, two players with Filipino roots, one representing the Philippines, the other representing Canada, but carrying Filipino heritage through her background. But for the Filipino fans traveling to Stuttgart, this was not primarily a tactical chess match between two lefties on clay. It was a statement of pride. It was visible proof that Filipino talent had reached a level where two players of that heritage could meet each other in the main draw of a professional tournament in Europe. That kind of symbolism does not lose its power just because the match happens to be in the first round. Now let us talk about something that gives all of this extra weight on a purely tennis level. Tony Nadal recently joined Alex Eala's coaching team specifically for her European clay court swing. If that name is familiar to you, it should be. Tony Nadal spent over 2 decades coaching his nephew Rafael Nadal, guiding him to 11 French Open titles and building arguably the most dominant clay court game in the history of the sport. He is a Hall of Fame-level tennis mind with a record that speaks for itself. He does not attach his name to a player casually. He does not take on a coaching role as a favor or as a publicity exercise. When Tony Nadal invests his time and energy in a 20-year-old player, it tells you something very specific about what he sees in her future. Eala herself spoke about the addition with genuine emotion. She described having Tony as part of her team as fantastic and said she felt truly privileged, adding that if someone had told her this would happen a few years ago, her mind would have been blown. That quote came before the Stuttgart sellout, before the ticket chaos, before the 60,000 figure was being discussed. It was just a young player expressing honest gratitude for an opportunity she clearly did not take for granted. And then there is Rafael Nadal himself, the man who won 22 Grand Slams, the man who has been surrounded by tennis fans his entire adult life and has seen every possible form of sporting passion from every corner of the world. Reports indicate that even he has been genuinely stunned by the scale and the intensity of the support that surrounds Eala at tournaments. When someone with that level of experience and that frame of reference looks at what is happening around a player and finds it remarkable, that is worth paying attention to. That is not a polite compliment. That is a real observation from someone who knows exactly what normal fan support looks like and is recognizing something that falls well outside it. The commercial side of what Eala represents is something the broader sport is also beginning to fully grasp. She has partnered with Nike, Babolat, and Globe Telecom, among others. These are not charity arrangements. These companies make calculated decisions about where to put their money and their brand association. What they are investing in with Eala is not just a tennis player who might win tournaments. They are investing in a fan base that buys tickets in bulk regardless of results, that travels internationally to watch matches, that turns television broadcasts into must-watch events for an enormous and deeply engaged audience. The WTA has been trying for years to build a stronger presence in Asian markets. Eala is not gradually opening that door, she is removing it from the frame entirely, and she is doing it by activating diaspora communities across Europe and North America who are already there, already organized, and already waiting for a reason to show up.
After her loss to Yelena Ostapenko at Linz, a former French Open champion who took her out in straight sets, Eala did not dwell on the defeat in her post-match comments. She spoke instead about the community rallying behind her, about how crazy and humbling it felt, about how thankful she was for everyone who made the effort to be there. She called it big or small, no excuses. There was no frustration, no deflection, no searching for reasons why the result went the wrong way, just pure gratitude for the people who showed up. That response, that choice to honor the support rather than focus on the loss, is a significant part of why the Filipino Army does not waver. They are not there just for the wins, they are there for the journey. They see a young woman from Manila navigating one of the most difficult professional circuits in the world, growing in front of their eyes, and they feel personally invested in every step of that road, including the setbacks. Looking ahead beyond Stuttgart, the stakes only get higher. Madrid is the next major clay stop, and Spain has an even larger Filipino community than Germany. Then comes Rome, then Roland Garros in Paris, which is 6 weeks away and sits in a country with its own deeply rooted Filipino diaspora. If courtside tickets at a 500-level event in Stuttgart are selling out before Eala plays a single point, what does that look like when she reaches a Masters 1000 or a Grand Slam quarterfinal on clay with Tony Nadal sitting in her box? The tournaments themselves are beginning to understand what they are dealing with. The sponsorship world figured it out a little earlier, but the full picture is becoming impossible for anyone in professional tennis to ignore. What is happening around Alex Eala is genuinely without precedent in terms of a player ranked outside the top 30 generating this level of pre-tournament demand and cultural energy. There have been popular players before, there have been players who drew big crowds from specific communities, but the combination of factors here, the diaspora infrastructure, the speed of mobilization, the consistency across different countries and continents, the level of organization in how fans coordinate travel and attendance, the fact that this all activates before she is played rather than because she is winning, that combination is something the sport simply has not seen at this stage of a player's career. Courtside tickets gone in minutes, tens of thousands of Filipinos organizing across Germany, a 500-level event turned into a cultural occasion, Tony Nadal courtside, Leylah Fernandez across the net, Rafael Nadal watching with genuine amazement, all of it in motion before Alex Eala struck a single ball in Stuttgart. The Filipino Army is not just supporting a tennis player, they are demonstrating what organized, passionate, diaspora-driven fan power actually looks like when it is fully activated. They are doing it consistently, across tournaments, across continents, and they are doing it one sold-out session at a time. The question now is what happens inside Porsche Arena. Will the roar of 60,000 Filipinos mobilizing across Germany carry Eala past Fernandez and deep into the Stuttgart draw? Will the presence of Tony Nadal, with all his clay court knowledge and championship pedigree, give her the edge she needs at this stage of the season? Or will the pressure of carrying an entire nation's pride test her in ways that even the best coaching in the world cannot fully prepare you for? These are the questions that make every match she plays must-watch tennis right now. If you have been following this journey since the Junior Grand Slams, since the Rafa Nadal Academy, since the first WTA breakthroughs, you already know what is at stake here and why it matters. Subscribe now, because the road ahead includes Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros, and the Filipino Army is not slowing down. They are scaling up, and the true believers do not miss a single chapter of this.